Thank you. Misrepresentation is more than a film. It's a social action campaign to empower women and girls and create lasting change in our culture. In a nutshell, the film suggests that if you can't see it, you can't be it. And if you can see it, you can be it. In other words, women and girls in particular need inspiration to see what they can become and to help them to achieve their potential. Now, inspiration can come from many places: families, communities, education, sports, the arts. And I'm a big proponent of making sure that we empower women in all of those environments. However, studies show that given the role of media as this great pedagogical force of communication in our society, which is dictating cultural values and gender norms to us on a constant streaming basis, that media is teaching children on a daily basis that a woman's value lies in her youth, her beauty, and in her sexuality, and not in her capacity as a leader. In the olden days, stories were passed down to us from our parents, from family members, educational and community leaders, and they were about sharing experiences. Now the media, run predominantly by elder men as a capitalist construct, is our primary storyteller. So with media deregulation, the 24/7 media news cycle, infomercials, reality TV, this celebrity tabloid culture that we all live in, and eyeballs, this whole competition for eyeballs in the marketplace, media's main objective, which used to be education and information, what is now to sell to us. Specifically, media is trying to make women feel insecure and manipulate them into buying something, or it's sexualizing women so that men buy something. Scary, right? Well, scary if you, like me, are concerned for the well-being of a future or young person in your life. I'm a big believer that you don't need to accept things about our culture that you don't want to. Culture is learned, and therefore it can be unlearned. This is really what I want to speak to you all about tonight, because the one thing misrepresentation has taught me is that women are powerful and that women's voices need to be heard. And that one ordinary individual like myself, united with others around a meaningful, common goal, can take itty-bitty small actions that ultimately lead to a revolution of sorts and create lasting change. So how do we start? We delve into media. Did you know that women are only 3% of media positions of clout? If you look at publishing, advertising, telecommunications, and entertainment, women are underrepresented in the top decision-making positions. In other words, 97% of what you know and learn about yourself on a regular basis is from the male perspective. Now, I look around the room and I see quite a few men in the room, and believe me, this is not a male versus female thing. And I don't fault anyone in particular. What it is, though, is it's a call to action. Because here we are in America, this great democracy, during the 21st century. Women are 51% of the population, and we're 86% of consumers. And yet we remain underrepresented in probably the most powerful industry affecting our culture, the media. And don't get me started about women in politics. May I remind you that when we do not represent women, it doesn't just hurt women, it hurts all of us. We limit the ideas and possibilities to make the world a better place. Think about it. How can media companies fully represent all the diversity and complexity of what it is to be a woman and what is important to women if there aren't enough women at the table, speaking on behalf of women and influencing the decisions that are being made? Some stereotypes and practices, the proof of this lack of women behind the scenes include a disproportionate representation of white, young, sexy, very skinny women, the hypersexualization of news anchors for ratings and profit, reality TV stereotypes, don't get me started there, And here's my favorite. Dr. Caroline Heldman coined the two most powerful stereotypes or archetypes of women in TV and film as the bitchy boss and the fighting fuck toy. On the personal front, I started out in Hollywood at the ripe old age of 28. Notice the sarcasm. When Hollywood starlets were tabloid fodder and you became famous for distributing a sex tape. I was told to take my Stanford MBA off my resume and to lie about my age. Well, I didn't do either, but I certainly had my confidence shaken. As an actress, I was cast as a trophy wife and a dumb blonde. Stereotypes were the norm. And rarely were powerful female characters even available to audition for. When I complained to family and friends, they said, "Jen, well, what are you thinking? It's Hollywood." But I said, but shouldn't the media be reflecting reality? Shouldn't the media be reflecting our culture? And why is it that every time I go in for an audition, the character is required to take her clothes off? What most people don't realize is that the magnitude of objectification of women and the way objectification gets internalized, both by men and women, impedes girls and women from realizing their potential. Taken a step further, as feminist and lecturer Dr. Jean Kilbourne says, turning something into an object or a thing is almost the first step towards justifying violence against that thing. 1 in 6 women in our country have experienced rape or attempted rape. And 1 in 4 women are abused by a domestic partner in their lifetime. And I happen to fall into that stat. As a white, privileged, educated woman, I'm one of many. Now here's the good news. And I have a minute left. Okay. Rather than being the problem, media can be the solution. As I said earlier, since culture is learned, culture can be unlearned. So while we work to get more women in the pipeline of leadership in media, social media may be our quickest path to transforming our culture. Think about it. Women are natural connectors. Together, we band and thrive. We take care of each other's families, and we help to create communities. And most argue if we were left in charge of the world, it would be a better place. Imagine what the world would be like if women's focus on their youth, beauty, and sexuality became less of a daily focus, less of a handicap, and they channeled all that time, energy, and creativity into becoming leaders or making the world a better place. Simultaneously, what would happen if men started recognizing the value of women beyond their youth and affection, and they actually started listening to women? And what if men really started investing in women? What if they started paying them what they pay men, helping them up the ladder, and giving them seats at the boardroom table? How about 50% of the seats? What would that be like? We all know that social movements have overthrown dictators and elected presidents. We also know social movements have put products and some companies out of business overnight. So how long does it take to change a culture? Some say 20 years. But using social media, what do we think? I'm confident that if done strategically, with clear and meaningful intentions, and a lot of out-of-the-box creative thinking, that we can start changing our culture right now. And to steal a phrase from a dear friend and a woman that I admire, Donna Brazile, let me leave you with this. Why should you all join me in this movement? Because there's no one better. And why should you join me now? Because tomorrow is not soon enough. Thank you and good night.